At this point, we have a pretty good structure for expanding this current site. We can easily add additional pages without adding unnecessary code. And we can also reuse this structure for other sites. But in order to make this site truly usable by an end user, we really have to simplify the process of editing content in it. Right now, in order for the end user to access the content, they have to first have access to the site's file directory, which, if this site is online, means that they have to use FTP, and that's not necessarily super easy for a beginning user to do. And then they have to go into one of these files here, and inside of the files, they have variables that they have to work with. And this weird here doc syntax, which, even though it's really efficient for our uses, since we're comfortable with PHP, it's going to scare a lot of end users away. We've done a great job of boiling down some of our other content into its base elements, particularly our products. So if we look at the data inside of our data folder, and we open up the product-data.php file, we've really taken apart the product system that we have and made it pretty flexible. We have this array that includes just the most essential information about our products, and then we have a function that generates the HTML for this. But still, if we want the end user to be able to add new products or manipulate products, what they're going to have to do is work with these arrays, and it looks pretty scary if you're not familiar with them. So our next logical step is to take this data that we want the end user to be able to manipulate and to provide an interface for manipulating this data that the end user can use and that it would be really hard for the end user to mess up. And we've already looked at some examples of doing this, particularly with managing users. We developed a whole CRUD system to allow the end user to create new users, to edit them and delete them. And so we really want to do the same thing with our site here. Using a database to store this content makes a lot of sense. And because this data is sensitive, we don't necessarily want everybody to be able to access it. And so what we'll also do to add to our two types of contents, which are our products and our pages, is add a third type of content, which is our user. So in the end, through these next steps, what we're going to do is create an interface to allow the end user to manipulate their pages, to edit content, to add new pages, to be able to manipulate their users, which are people who can access the administrative area of the site, and finally, to be able to manipulate the products on the site, to add them, edit them, and delete them. As we move to using a database for this content, you'll see a number of advantages start to bubble up. One is that, even though it will be easier for the end user to manipulate the content, it will also be easier for you as the site creator and potentially maintainer to work with that content as well. The content becomes searchable, it becomes scalable, so you can have thousands and thousands of pieces of content and be able to find what you're looking for and edit it easily. And some other benefits will come up along the way as well.